Okay, very good. So I think everybody sitting in my class knows the various states of matters are solids, liquids, and gases, isn't it? So what is the difference between ice, water, and steam? What is the difference do you understand in ice, water, and steam? Come on, tell me. Yes, very good, Amber. They are the three states, correct. Ice, water, and steam, they all belong to the same substance, that is H2O. That is my water, but their states are different. Ice exists in solid state, water exists in liquid state, and steam exists in gaseous state, isn't it? And what is the smallest particle of matter called as? What is the smallest particle of water? I'm sorry, matter. Very good, Nishita, Amberil, Edvika, Omkar, Nikandro, Vedika. Very nice. Very good, Anshul. The smallest particle of matter is called as atom. And can you tell me what are the types of matter? Have we heard about this statement before? In the same format, students, I'm asking you two questions. When I told you what are the states of matter, to which you answered me were solids, liquids, and gases. Now I'm asking you what are the types of matter. Yes, Devin, very good. You're correct. Is that the only answer? Very good, Omkar. Very good. See, when I say the states of matter, we say they are solids, liquids, and matter, solids, liquids, and gases. But if I classify the matter on one more type, so we're called as the types of matter are elements, compounds, and mixtures, about which we are going to study in detail in this chapter. But before going in detail with the types of matter, first we need to speak about what are the states of matter. To understand that, I'm going to carry out a simple activity here. We're going to do a small activity. I want everybody to look at the screen. Just a minute. I think something went wrong. We're going to do a simple activity. I want everybody to concentrate on the slide. Take some mustard seeds in a transparent plastic jar. Tie a long thread at the center of a big balloon by means of a needle and tie it tight. To understand this experiment, I'm giving you the picture here. All of you can see a plastic jar. In the plastic jar, we have put the mustard seeds. On the mustard seeds, we have put a balloon by the means of a needle and a thread. And then we have tied a long thread here, right? Now, what is the activity? What are you going to do? What are you supposed to do in this activity is, you are going to pull the diaphragm. You have to stretch the rubber first and fix it at the mouth of the jar with the help of a rubber band, like it is shown in the picture. Did you all understand the setup, how we are going to do it? Did you all understand the setup? It is basically just like the lid which is put onto the plastic jar. In a similar way, I have taken a plastic jar, I put a balloon on top of it, and with the help of a thread which is acting as the rubber diaphragm, I'm going to move it so that the mustard seeds will be in motion. You're going to pull the diaphragm up and down with the help of the thread. I'm really sorry. I think there's some problem with my phone today. Okay. You all are able to hear me? Everybody can hear me, right? Okay. So you all are concentrating on the experiment. Good. So pull the diaphragm up and down with the help of the thread, first slowly, then with moderate force, and in the last most vigorously. So there are three kind of observations which we are going to see when I pull the diaphragm. So if I pull the thread slowly, what do you think is going to happen, my dear students? See how the picture is shown, where we have inverted the jar and trying to pull the thread. If I pull the thread slowly, what is going to happen? What is going to happen to the mustard seeds, students? Seeds will bounce. Very good. What else? Seeds will bounce. So can I say there will be a vibration in the same place because I'm going to pull. I'm going to pull the thread very slowly. So they're going to only move in the same place. But what if I do it little with moderate force? If I do it with moderate force, what is going to happen? Yes, come on, tell me. What if I move it with a moderate force? What is going to happen? They will move more. There will be more vibration. They will move the place till half of the jar. And what if we move it very vigorously? If we do it very vigorously, if I keep on pulling the thread again and again, what do you think is going to happen? What is going to happen if we move it very vigorously? Moderate means at a slow speed. See, when I say slow means very slow, moderate means thoda speed mein, or vigorously means very fast. So if I'm doing it vigorously means very fast, what are going to happen to the mustard seeds in the glass jar? Right, they are going to move throughout the glass jar, isn't it? All the seeds are going to be throughout the glass jar, isn't it? So what did we understand in the above experiment? What did we understand with the help of that? In the above experiment, we understood that we give energy less or more to the mustard seeds by pulling the diaphragm up and down, making them move differently. That was under my control when I was pulling the diaphragm. If I do it less, they will move less. If I move more, they will move more, isn't it? So similarly, the particles in the solids, liquids, and gaseous states of matter have the movement somewhat similar to that. What is exactly happening in solids, liquids, and gases, my students, is an intermolecular force of attraction. Let us first understand what is the meaning of intermolecular force. All the students sitting in my class knows what is the meaning of an atom, right? Do you all know what is an atom? Everybody knows what is an atom, right? Atom is the smallest particle of the substance. And molecule is what? It is made up of mixing by atoms together. So between the molecules, between two molecules जो space होता है उसको हम बोलते हैं intermolecular force of attraction, which is acting between the particles of matter. And the extent of the particle movement is determined by the strength of this force. If you're getting confused, let me give it a more clarity with the help of individual states of matter. Let me give you clarity with the help of individual states of matter. So let us first start with the solid state of matter. In solid state of matter, the interparticular distance substances look something like that. This is the structure of the solid from inside. Can you see small, small particles? Those red dots, my dear students, are the particles of the solid. And do you see how they are placed? They are placed very close to each other. They are very compact. In solid state, the particles are very close to each other. So what? So your question would be, so what does it give us? Answer, ma'am. So if a rock is remaining in the same shape and same place for years together, unless it is broken or moved, isn't it? If a rock is there and if I don't move it, I don't touch it, is it going to remain in the same place for years together? Yes. Why? Because the particles of solids are closely packed. They cannot move much. They don't have the movement. And because of the structure of the solid, because of the particles being so closely packed, we are going to list down the properties of solid. So the first property I'm going to say is that solids have definite shape and volume. Solids have definite shape and volume. See, basically the word volume should not come into picture when we talk about solids. So I'm going to say they have definite shape. Okay, I'm interrupting in between. I just want to ask you this. Is my voice cracking or you are having any disturbance when I'm talking? Okay, so I think the student who has written that who is not able to listen to me carefully, you have to check internet from your side. I think my end is all fine as majority of students are able to hear me. Thank you so much, students. So let us come back to the properties of solids. I said solids have definite shape and volume. Solids have the property of rigidity. Now, what is the meaning of rigidity? As you can see in the slide, a child is hitting with the help of a hammer, is hitting an iron rod. There are certain substances which does not change their shape when we apply external pressure. For example, if you're sitting with the phone in your hand or when we sit on the bench in the classroom, if you apply little pressure, can you change the shape of the phone? By applying little pressure, can you change the shape of your phone? Obviously not. Can you change the shape of the desk? Yes, not. So that is the property of rigid. Means the shape cannot be changed very easily in case of solids. And again, this is happening because solids, the particles are very closely packed to each other. Similarly, some solids have the property of elasticity. And to understand the property of elasticity, let us take the example of a rubber band. Everybody has seen a rubber band, right? And everybody has played with the rubber band in the classroom. I'm sure everybody has done that nice targets of the chalk to the teachers. Have you all tried that with the rubber band? Yes? I'm sure this is no, don't tell me no. Majority of students have done this in the class because a lot of students do. No, oh my God, nobody is telling me yes. Okay, few true students are telling me yes, ma'am, we have done that. But good if you're not done. Rubber band has the property of elasticity, right? Rubber band is elastic, but rubber band is also a solid. And this solid changes its shape when I apply pressure. When I apply pressure means when I'm pressing the rubber band, it is going to change its shape, right? But when I release the pressure, it will come back to its original position. This property of substances is called as elasticity. So properties of solid, one more important property is elasticity. Are you all getting it? So first thing what I said, definite shape and volume. They are rigid, they are elastic. And certain solids have the property of plasticity. What is the meaning of plasticity? What do you see in the picture here? What do you see? Dough. We need a dough, right? With the help of our hand. So when I apply pressure to that dough, does it change its shape? When I apply pressure, will the dough change its shape? Yes. But when I remove the pressure, does it come back to its original shape? When I remove the pressure, no. So such solids which on applying pressure changes its shape, but when the pressure is removed does not come back to its original shape is called as plasticity. So one more property of solid is called as plasticity. These are different properties because all the properties cannot be applied to all solids. Different solids have different property, but in general, if I want to list down, yes, just like dough, it's clay also an example of plasticity. So come on, repeat everyone. What are the properties of solids? Definite shape and volume, rigidity, elasticity, and plasticity. Come on, quickly. I want everyone to read after me. What are the properties of solid? No, you don't have to write. I will in the end tell you a common table which you'll have to write it down, where we'll list down all the properties of solids, liquids, and gases together. So you don't have to write this. Only repeat after me. What are the properties of solids? Definite shape and volume, rigidity, elasticity, and plasticity. Very good. So is the structure of solid clear to everyone? And what is the main thing that is responsible for the structure of solid is the particles. The particles being closely packed to each other in case of structure of the solid, which is the intermolecular force of attraction. Should I move to the next stage? Should I move to the next stage if this is clear to everyone? Did you all understand solids? Very good. Thank you so much for letting me know. So the next state of matter which I'm going to talk today, my dear students, is liquid state. In case of liquids, can you see the particles in the structure of the liquid? In liquids, the particles are at moderate distance from each other. They are not closely packed. They are there. A lot of particles are there, but they are at moderate distance from each other. So liquids in a bottle takes the shape of the bottle. Why? Why the liquid takes the shape of the bottle? This is because in case of liquid, the particles are at moderate distance from each other, which gives them the tendency to flow. And when they flow, they will take the shape of the container in which they are put. So what are the properties of liquids? In liquids, the particles are at moderate distance from each other, because of which the particles can easily move. So the properties become that liquids have definite volume but indefinite shape, and they take the shape of the container in which they are put. Liquids take the shape of the container in which they are put. They have definite volume but indefinite shape, and they also have the property of low compressibility. Now, what is the meaning of compressibility? If I try to apply pressure, today my laptop is not listening to me. It is doing its own wish. So I am extremely sorry. I'm coming back again and again. So liquids have the property of low compressibility, which means that when you apply pressure, it will somewhat change its shape, but not change the shape completely. Like compressibility means applying pressure. In solids, when we apply pressure, does it change its shape? No. Liquids will change its shape to some extent. Whereas in the next case, the compressibility is going to be very high. So once again, come on, repeat the properties of liquid, everyone. Liquids have definite volume but indefinite shape. Liquids have definite volume but indefinite shape, and they also have low compressibility. And this all is happening because in liquids, particles are at moderate distance from each other, because of which the particles can move. Similarly, let us talk about one more property of liquid, where I am going to explain you the property of fluidity with the help of this simple experiment. Now, some liquid students have the capability to flow very easily, whereas some does not flow easily. So here I am taking 4 different beakers and keeping a ruler in a slanting manner. And I'm going to pour 4 different liquids at one go. You need to check the flow and tell me which liquid is going to come down faster. The 4 liquids used here are milk, honey, kerosene, and water. Now observe carefully. I want everybody to see the screen carefully and tell me which liquid is going to come faster and which is going to come slower. Which one is coming first? Did you see the experiment carefully? Which liquid came first? Very good, Omkar. Kerosene. Kerosene is the one which is going to come first, followed by water. Very good. Kerosene, water, and the next one is going to be milk. Very nice. After milk, honey. And this was happening. Students, because the tendency of fluidity. Liquids flow, but this property of fluidity which makes certain liquid flow very easily and certain at a lower speed. So liquids, along with the property of compressibility, it also has a property of fluidity. Is it clear? Is the property of fluidity clear to everyone? What do I mean when I say liquids flow? Because they are at moderate distance from each other. So let us come to the third state of matter. And the third state of matter is the gaseous state. What do we all see in the structure of the gas? How are the particles placed? In case of gas, the particles are far apart from each other. I'm repeating myself once again. When we were talking about solids, in solids, they were very closely packed. In liquid, they were at moderate distance from each other. And in gases, they are far apart. They are far apart. So gases can fill the container of any size and shape. Why does that happen? Because a gas can expand and compress very easily. And this all is going to happen because the particles are placed at very far apart from each other. The interparticular distance is very large. So let us list down the properties of gases here. Gases does not have any definite shape or volume. As you can see, they don't have a definite shape and volume. They're highly compressible. And compressibility we have seen in the case of the soda can and the gas cylinder. The soda can in which gas is compressed. Similarly, in the gas cylinder, the gas is compressed, right? So they are highly compressible. Along with that, as the particles move very fast, there is no force to stop them. So they constantly hit the walls of the containers in which they are put. And they also can be stopped only by the solid walls of the container. And just like the liquids, gases also have the property of fluidity because they also flow, right? So let us repeat, everyone, what are the properties of gases? Come on, everyone. Properties of gases are no definite shape or volume. They are highly compressible. Particles move very fast. No force to stop them and can be stopped only by the solid walls of the container. So now I want everyone to answer my question. If you have understood all the 3 types, let me see who is going to answer me fast. Come on, tell me. In solids, how the particles are placed? In solid, how the particles are placed? Who is going to answer me first? How are the particles placed? Very closely packed. Very good, Nishita. You were the first one. They are very closely packed. Because of which solids have a definite shape and volume. Very good. Now, what about compressibility? Are solids compressible? Are solids compressible? No, very good. What about intermolecular force of attraction in case of solids? The intermolecular force of attraction is very strong. Very good, very strong because they're very closely packed, right? Similarly in liquid, how are particles placed in the case of liquid? Moderate. Very good, Sneha. They're at moderate distance from each other. So they have a definite volume but indefinite shape. Very less compressibility and intermolecular forces moderate. Very nice. And gases. How are gases placed? How are the particles placed? Far away. Very good, Elisha. They're far away from each other. So they have indefinite shape, indefinite volume, highly compressible, very high compressibility, and the intermolecular force is very weak. So all these is given in the textbook in this table of characteristics of states of matter, which I request everybody to write it down. So here we understand the physical states of matter, solids, liquids, and gases, and the properties. I hope everybody has got the clarity of the term rigid, plastic, and elastic, right? You know what's the meaning of rigidity, plasticity, and elasticity. And in liquid and gases, we have the property of fluidity because they have the tendency to flow. Rest all terms are very simple. It's just a simple language which everybody can understand. And distance between the particles, as we have said, they are very less, moderate, and very large. Are you all writing? Once you're finished writing, you can raise your hand and let me know. If you write this, it is more than enough because this is going to help you understand the complete topic which we studied today about solids, liquids, and gases. Yes, this table is there in the textbook and it is a very important table. You need to learn it by heart, and that is why I'm asking you to write, learn, and write. Have you all finished, my dear students? Done? So with this, I'll also end my class, my dear students, so that we just have a little thing to study for this week. That is only about solids, liquids, and gases. And this table I'll be asking you in the next class. Hope all my intelligent students are going to revise this and come for me. Will you all do it? Thank you so much. I'll just wait for Nishant sir to enter.